I'm screwed up. Hey there, White Sox fans. Welcome to Sox Populi Mothership Podcast. Can you believe it? I should do the gesture that makes balloons pop up. 200. Sox Pop 200. We anticipated it might be a different sort of celebratory or semi-celebratory podcast in another few days or week. It turns out it is still a celebratory podcast, but for reasons that I don't think any of us more than 24 hours ago could have thought possible. Of course, that is Munetaka Murakami, or as he likes to be known, MoonEE. The shorthand will be for those who might trip themselves up trying to pronounce a name that isn't David Jones, MoonEE. MoonEE has signed with the White Sox. How the hell did that happen? 24 hours ago or so, Todd Welter pitched an article to me for Southside Sox that said, hey, what if the White Sox sign Munetaka Murakami? And I said, hey, sounds great, write the article, and then proceeded to give him all the reasons why the White Sox wouldn't sign MoonEE, because as silly as Reinsdorf doesn't want to like shell out for an interpreter, for God's sake. I mean, that we can laugh at that, but oh, please, yeah, like that's not a line item consideration. And lo and behold, the embers got real hot, and here on a Sunday, a nice Sunday news drop to kick off a holiday week is a signing of an actual major league. Well, I mean, not officially, but translated into a major league hitter. No more 4A guys, although we can talk about whether or not Munetaka Murakami is going to be a 4A guy or not. Wait, hold on. Did I introduce this as Sox Populi Mothership Podcast 200? That was foolish. Welcome to the Filippo and Brett Ballantini show, once known as the Sox Populi Mothership Podcast, but now it's just me and Hannah for a second straight podcast. Filippo is joining me as the exclusive guest. What's up, Southside Sox? But Hannah, thank you for making the time and taking the time and chatting with me for a half hour or so. When it's good news, this is nice.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked to even see the news this morning.
I mean, hyperbole aside, I mean, Japanese Babe Ruth. Yeah, what else you need to know? Single season home run record. That ain't nothing. I mean, come on. That translates into Barry Bonds here now. Let's not
Yeah.
set the bar too high, MoonEE, but hey, okay, besides shock, your initial reaction to the fact that the White Sox like acted like one of the 30 Major League Baseball clubs.
Initial reaction was, oh, they actually got a guy that people have heard of. That was first
Right.
reaction. Second reaction was, why did they get him?
Okay. We'll dig into that shortly. Let's not burn the excitement off quite yet. Let's keep the sugar high going. 8 seasons playing in Japan from I believe age 17 or 18. Began his career in 2000, professional career in 2018. If you average, again, Japanese seasons are shorter, so these per season, get bastardized a bit, but 125 games in a shorter season, that ain't nothing. Slash 273, 394, 550. That's okay. You'd think that could play. 33 homers, 90 RBIs average over his 8 seasons. And again, it doesn't count. It doesn't really take into account if you're looking at this through the lens of the major leagues, shorter season, and the fact that he had his season truncated significantly with an oblique injury in 2025. Still managed to hit like 26 or something dingers. Also averages about 10 stolen bases. That may have a little bit to do with just the nature of Japanese baseball than MoonEE as a base running threat here in the major leagues, but it just gives you a little snapshot of what he'll bring. The White Sox second half ballyhooed offense aside, and there's no doubt it was better than dead, but better. This team still needs hitters. This team still has, I'm sorry, I'd argue because I'm a jerk, but I'd argue no outfield offensively or negligible. But the infield is shaping up into maybe an average offense. Um, in spite of some caution, and we'll get to that maybe after a break, in case, folks are just too busy and they can only listen to 15 minutes of this glorious Hannah Filippo and Brett Ballantini podcast. We'll get to maybe some of the concerns after the break, but clearly, Hannah, you can't argue with the fact that the White Sox, they need hitters, period.
Yeah, they need even he's 25,
Yeah.
not that old, but they need somebody with an established career to come
Mhm.
in and bring that power. I don't trust Luis Robert Jr. Just seeing as how things have went last year and the year before, I think he will bounce back, but I think it's not fair to bank on him, and it's also too much pressure. And then you've got Ben Tendi, who is declining. So it was
That's
nice
very
to
polite.
put it that way. So they need a lefty bat and they need a lefty bat with power. So he brings both of those to the table.
Jill Reeses wrote our sort of spot news piece, introduced an interesting thought that, of course, I would not even know to bring up, and certainly don't read enough about Japan's professional leagues to know. But apparently over the past few seasons, basically, I would say the scope or close to the scope of Mooney's. See, I keep using it. Mooney's. Hey, he told us to. So okay. Mooney's career, the hitting environment has not been terribly favorable in Japan. And so that doesn't mean you like double his numbers, but it means that, these numbers are coming in an environment that isn't exactly attuned to the ball isn't, let's say the ball isn't juiced. And of course, Hannah Filippo, as usual and always, and she's here, come on, wrote a follow-up piece on what the signing means. Again, looking at some of the pluses, obvious, I mean, not all obvious, but obvious pluses because the White Sox just need players. And, then also some concerns as well. And again, we'll punt those concerns for a few more minutes. But, the effect on the lineup, even if you just plug in him as just a DH, forget any factor in the field, and frankly, it's hard to see him as a true positive factor in the field. But even as a DH, this is just a bat. I mean, this is a team that ran out Andrew Vaughn as a regular, continues to run out Andrew Benintendi as a regular. So this team still has Colson Montgomery hitting 8,000 home runs in 70 games or whatever. It doesn't change the fact that this team still has a lot of offensive holes, and this does help theoretically sort of extend a chain of the lineup maybe down through maybe six hitters now instead of it just being black hole after black hole. And oh my God, he's hitting lineup, he's hitting leadoff, he's hitting cleanup. Perhaps there'll just be less shock and depression when 1 minute into the game when we see the lineups.
Yeah, he'll bring that extra thread in the middle of the lineup that's desperately needed. You can't just pick after you get through 1 through 3, it falls off a bit. And towards the tail end of last year, and especially August, you saw that more complete lineup, but he will help round it out a lot more.
Yeah, and something the White Sox have been, well, I mean, it seems like forever been lacking. But at least for some time, at least since the White Sox could depend on the Cubans putting balls over the fences, 2020 or so, maybe 2021, no power game. Lenine Sosa with 18 last year, I think, led the team. I mean, it wasn't much. The fact that you do not have a 20 home run hitter in 20 in the 2020s in Major League Baseball is that's dereliction of duty. Sorry, Chris Katz, not trying to call you out on your happy birthday here, but good Lord. And this guy clearly becomes no matter how his numbers translate, just stepping up to the plate certainly seems like the number one power threat on a team that basically sort of almost doesn't have any.
Yeah, it was actually really interesting that I was looking at his stats a bit closer. He has a more middling hard hit rate than what I'd expect given his home run production,
Yeah.
but he gets the job done, and that's really all it comes down to at the end of the day. And I'm sure Ryan Fuller and the rest of the coaching staff will tweak his swing a bit, but it is really interesting that he doesn't bring as much power in his swing, but he's able to put the ball over the fence, and that's certainly a much needed addition to this team.
And before we might explore some pluses, but you won't just say just minuses because there'll be point counterpoint because Hannah clearly she's gonna end up taking the role of a doomsayer on this one. So I'm gonna be perky and excited about having Mooney on the team. But um, there's something to be said, or maybe there isn't, but is there something to be said about the fact that a guy wants to play for the White Sox? Now, that said, before I let you answer here, let me just keep talking, Hannah, because the people love that. Yeah, the market bottomed out for him. Apparently, it seems pretty clear because the numbers were very lofty, and then they became 2 years, 34 million. Those are Andrew Benintendi numbers. So I don't mean to I don't mean to insult you, Munetaka, but so obviously, and it's been speculated even among our staff that he decided to take a shorter deal for less money to then make more later. I'm not a math guy. I don't understand the logic there at all. And if he had better offers, I don't see why he wouldn't take them. But that said, he seems excited to be on the White Sox. He's already put a video out that is just adorable and makes us all want to buy Murakami uniforms. Number five, that was my number. That was my number, Mooney. Number five, um, there's something to be said for a guy who just wants to play for the Chicago White Sox. Even if they just were the only ones who offered a contract, he still said yes instead of going back to Japan.
Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to think of if the Sox had even pursued anyone openly in free agency as much as MoonAY, and I can't think of anyone, so that was probably really attractive to him. Also, perhaps the potential for that development in the coaching staff. I'm not sure how much research those guys from Japan do on every team and their where they're at in either their organization or a rebuild, etc. But I think there was something there he liked, and that only helped the case as the rest of the teams probably got scared off or they fell out of the market for him. So I think both ends working together really helped this deal move forward.
Yeah, and can we overlook the Shingo Takatsu factor? I mean, hey, we can joke about it, but he's been Mune's manager for, I believe, the breadth of his career. Longtime manager there in Japan for the Swallows and former what? I mean, I would have to presume he at least dialed his manager up and said, hey, what gives? Shingo was the first Japanese player in White Sox history. So, I mean, that's not nothing. And he made a nice brief throwing the frisbee, a splash with the White Sox and even contributed, although he was tailing off by then, to the world champion White Sox. So, maybe Shingo did provide a bit of an assist. I can't imagine what sort of data you would get. I mean, not to poo-poo what you just said, Hannah, but I just can't imagine a collection of data that would tell you, yes, the White Sox are where you want to go. Now, of course, the data point is $34 million, and I believe it runs up to north of 40 million in the total commitment based on posting fee and whatnot. And of course, sorry, Jerry, accommodating additional media, translator, who's to say what else? Sorry, Jerry, I know it's the holiday season and maybe you're grumbling a little bit, but hey, I hope even he can be happy that fans are inordinately excited over the signing. When you think about the fact it's a guy who signed for 2 years, 34 million, and our hair is on fire. Like, holy cow! I understand the surprise of it. Japanese Babe Ruth, blah blah blah. But a guy who's got some thump. The fact that, as you point out in Eureka, Hannah, there is some ceiling there. Now, there's some skepticism about whether that would be realized. Like in any scenario, there's no sure things. But the fact that the ceiling could be, I mean, the ceiling, geez, set the bar high, Brett. I mean, the ceiling could be Jose Abreu. I mean, this could mirror. I mean, not to be lazy and say, okay, let's just pick a foreign star that, that's who he is, do those lazy comps. But um, uh, ballyhooed signing, guy who came in and contributed right away. I mean, that would be best case scenario, that there's almost no learning curve and that he is maybe the slugger of the team as soon as 2026. Um, I could see how that set of data beyond just the bank account data, the healthy bank account data would be inspiring, but just coming in cold, as I'm sure, aside from maybe a couple teams, he may have just followed in a distance. I'm guessing the Dodgers. Coming in cold, it's so. I mean, it says how punch drunk we are as fans, or just it doesn't seem like it. How could he have made this decision? It just doesn't, I love it, but how could it happen? Especially something that wasn't, you know, rumored, really at all. I mean, but for, maybe a hot 24 or 48 hours. And even then it's like, yeah, okay. We've been used before. Liam Hendricks tried to use this with the fake whatever the Toronto thing was, and then the White Sox decided to do some bizarre like, oh yeah, we'll pay you $1 million a year or 14 million. You know, let's do some strange accounting so we can say we gave the best offer when Liam goes somewhere else. It's nice. It's nice to win for once, Hannah. Let's just like
It's
give me
not
an answer
fun.
there. Isn't it nice that it's like, wait, we were chosen over 29 other teams? That hasn't happened for some time.
It's a weird feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, you can forgive us, dear listeners and viewers, for just acting somewhat for stumbling through this podcast. It's not just the pressure of this becoming the Hannah Filippo and Brett Ballantini podcast brought to you by Sox Populi. It's the fact that this is a feeling we're not used to. Really, I would think, because even in the Liam Hendricks signing, aside from the fact that it got very weird at the end, it's a closer. Uh, it's so was somewhat easy to criticize, although Liam did a great job. It's like exactly what he was paid to do. I would say the last, and this isn't cursing at all, because when he came in, he was hot. He had a great first season, and it didn't work out real great from there. But Yasmani Grandal was the last free agent signing I can think of as being so shocked. And I think there was even more smoke attaching the White Sox to Grandal than, of course, there was the White Sox being attached to Murakami. So, I mean, now that's a chunk of 5 years or so, or longer. So you can forgive us for just feeling funny about this and not really knowing what to do with this big box under the Christmas tree we were not expecting. What's the, you know, now we got to learn like a new nickname, like MoonAY? What? All right, let's take a break before we dig into maybe some of the gritty part of the nitty gritty of this deal. There's going to be no regrets here. The White Sox just need to play like they like they have a seat at the table, like they're an actual major league team and not the Albuquerque Isotopes. And so congratulations to them for that. Thanks for reminding us for the first time in about 5 years that you're a major league baseball franchise. Again, sorry to rain on your birthday party, Chris Getz, but it must be said. All right, we're going to take a break for a minute or two. Come on back to talk about other ramifications of this deal, including what we expect from MoonAY's performance on the field and the effects it might have on the personnel. The deal might be that's one of the two other big money guys have to go now. Jerry Reiser can't pay three guys more than 18, no, more than $17 million in a year. I think that's written in his like ownership papers or something. All right, hang with us. I'll stop talking now. We're going to take a break. Someone else will talk, and they'll probably be pitching you something. Please be patient and listen. Hannah and I will be back in mere seconds. Hey, White Sox fans. Happy. I'm still flabbergasted. You know me. I hardly ever trip over my tongue. I'm Brett Ballantini, co-hosting the Hannah Filippo and Brett Ballantini podcast, formerly known as Sox Populi. If you go by I don't know, the past legend. I mean, this has been named a number of different podcasts over the years, so this is just the latest change. But technically, we can call this, just for continuity's sake, we'll call this 200, podcast 200, and we actually get to celebrate something. It is a signing of Munetaka Murakami, aka MoonAY, as he wants us to know him as number 5 in the lineup. Likely cleanup, although who knows? Will Venable might do something clever like bat him second. Or he'll just say, where's Shohei batting today? Okay, put MoonAY there. Not saying you're that lazy, Will, but White Sox managers have done much more damaging jobs with their lineup than that. So if you want to pattern yourself after the Dodgers, okay by me. They're in the other league. With me, Hannah Filippo wrote an article, follow-up article, following up Joe Reis's spot news announcement. He was I had to clean up a lot of typos and editing because he was so shocked his fingers were getting numb and lazy. Again, no diss on you, Joe. It's completely understandable. I was making mistakes in editing because I was in disbelief. But Hannah Filippo, as always, composed, wrote a follow-up piece for us, examining sort of the pros and cons of this signing. So maybe for once, I'll shut up and take us through just some bullet points there. Of course, all of you listening and watching have read it. So this is just going to be review. Sorry, but we got to do that sometimes. Uh, Give us the dark side and the light side of this signing, Hannah.
The dark, the dark news
We got to
side.
go there. We're
The
Sox
dark,
fans.
the dark news side was reading in Baseball America's scouting report. Basically, he can't hit anything above
Yeah.
94 miles an hour,
Yeah, that's
and he
sort of
can't hit
big.
anything off speed. And I was like, oh, that's like
Everything.
95% of pitchers now. It's anything, especially the off speed part. That was
Yeah.
really concerning to see.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what they're going to throw. Wow, this was about 15 minutes before it got really dark, but we do have to bring it up. And that was supplemented, or that broader point was supplemented by Eno Sarris's, I believe, um, tweet or whatever they're called now. Basically dug into his exit velocity, his average exit no, it wasn't exit velocity, his hard hit percentage, right?
It was contact rate.
Contact rate. If I just kept guessing, I would have got it at some point, Hannah. Contact rate, which and sort of where he vibed with major leaguers, and um, the comps were not inspiring, Hannah. How dare you insert that piece of cold reality into your article because it doesn't make you too excited about how he's going to translate into the majors.
Yeah, I'm looking at it briefly now, and I see there. It's basically in the article. It shows the table of the players and comparable contact percentage and max exit velocity, and you've got some okay standout names in there. You got like Nick Kurtz from this year and others, but then you've got a long list of mediocre hitters, which is not a great sign to see.
In that framework, you're saying you would really come away saying Joey Gallo is the best outcome here. And I suppose if Joey Gallo is your outcome, well, I mean, relative to that list, that's like the best we can hope for. But
Not that bad, but 17 million. I mean, it's better than another. Is he will he won't prospect, but at the same time, it's not what you want to see from a 17 million AAV player.
this is the question I was going to ask David James, who was going to join us, and work called him away because he's a big Lenin fanboy. Sorry if that's a derogatory connotation, but he has championed Lenin Sosa. But did we just buy a left-handed Lenin Sosa because Lenin also is not to be trusted with a glove? And sorry, MoonAY, I don't want to judge before I see you, but it might also be the case.
I would, as much as I like him, I think now's the time to sell him high.
Oh, right. Okay. So maybe there's just not room on the roster for both Lenin Sosa and Munetaka Murakami. So yeah, I mean, so be it. I mean, they both play the same position, which is no position, and they both do hit home runs, if you want to say 18 or 20 or 22 or whatever. It's it. I mean, no diss on Lenin because he was a bright spot. Um,
I'd rather have Lenine than Curtis Mead, who's the other first baseman. But I just don't have. I have a feel you're gonna get more for Lenine, and he's gonna cost more. So for with
Yeah,
that logic, it makes more sense
yeah.
to.
Yeah, and keep in mind, don't get too attached to any of these X-rays because the White Sox, I believe, have about 25 of them on the roster right now. Because the 40 man is now at 40. So any of those moves that Chris Getz wants to make, just he likes to shop in the discount racks. Once somebody goes on waivers, he picks them up. Well, somebody's got to go. Curtis Mead, I don't know. Ben Cowles, you might got to go. Basically everybody acquired except for MoonAY this offseason, you might have to go. I guess Tony K is safe. He's got a 2 year one. No Sox are never going to eat that. But speaking of eating, as Christmas approaches and the feasting will commence, I made a passing joke, but is there a universe where Jerry Reinsdorf pays three players, a particular one who has zero use, one who has debatable use, and if you talk to Chris Getz, is headed to the Hall of Fame, and now this surprise, whoops, holy cow, this fell into our stocking 4 days before Christmas in Munetaka Murakami. Is something got to give, and does somehow a fire get lit under Getz by the upper management to say, okay, get some salary off? I mean, the White Sox have just got the White Sox going into today were 30th in baseball. They weren't just close to it; they were 30th in baseball in the projected payroll. I don't know what this move moves them up to. I'm guessing 25, 27. I should look it up while I let Hannah speak. But is there a scenario now where a move of either outfielder is more likely?
I hope not. If anyone, it should be Benny. But at the same time, I mean, it took less than 6 hours for the Luis Robert Jr. trade articles to start flooding my feed. So you know that they're already on it.
Yeah.
I saw actually an interesting article about the Mets being interested in him, which okay, New York, interesting. I don't think that this decision should sway whether they need to trade Louis Robert Jr. or Benintendi. I think that should be independent of this signing, but this is an easy scapegoat. This is an easy reason for them to start shopping.
It's sick that I have to raise the question, and I feel bad for doing it because that makes that the question implies we are an international league team. We are a Southern League team who can't like afford to spend any money. And I mean, again, haven't been brainwashed by Jerry Reinsdorf. I don't believe that. But in the 2025, 2026 reality of the White Sox, it is something that does have to be raised. So of course, the answer is exactly what you gave by saying I hope not. And at first I thought, well, wait, what's the weird attachment that Hannah has to either one of those two players? No, it's that she wants to root for a major league team that pays players uh, and doesn't just say the kids can play. And then when they begin to maybe start making some money or potentially do so or leave because we won't pay them money, you've got to trade them. And we become raised north and we do it in the bizarro world. We're 180 degrees from the Rays sister team because we don't do it right. Even as we're importing all of them and even now taking their executives. Um, do you think? By the way, I somehow was correct. 25th in projected payroll for the White Sox this year now. So way to go, Chris. The White Sox are almost a real big boy team again under your tutelage. Well done. So you think nothing really changed, nothing really moves the needle. I mean, obviously, it's sort of hilarious that oh my God, they might be approaching a nine-figure team salary. So we got to get rid of somebody. But you think that doesn't necessarily heat stuff up any more than people have been sort of stoking the coals a little bit on Robert, it seems like for like 5 years now. But it doesn't necessarily make it urgent for the White Sox to make any kind of move.
I don't think it makes it urgent on their end, but I do think that after seeing this move, teams like the Mets are knocking at Chris Getz's door saying, "Oh, I just saw you sign Murakami and looks a little pricey for you. Why don't we take some salary off your hands and
Hmm.
give you some of our prospects
Hmm.
in exchange?" I just think it's a perfect way for teams to buy low on Luis Robert right now.
Yeah, if teams want to chisel Getz, and he's proven, yeah, jury's out. He's proven um, gettable. Getz. That you could say, no, trying our prize. No, forget prize. We'll take the money, especially because, like, in particular, the Mets, poof, they're paying for nothing now compared to what they used to. All that stolen blood money from ownership there isn't even going anywhere now. So, yeah, you could pretty easily a number of real Major League Baseball teams who aren't scared of paying players and who 20 million may seem like, oh, okay, a lot, but it's not crazy. It's not the only figure like that in our salary docket to say, okay, we'll give you a lottery ticket and we'll take all the money and gets has proven, I think, so far to say no dice on that, but maybe he's getting sticky notes slapped all over his desk from Jerry and he might be more, oh, I don't know. We don't need to rush into feeling bad about the team again, but these things do have to come up, including the fact that Murakami struggles to make contacts. That's sort of a big thing, especially when it's not just, gosh, we can't figure it out. It's not like Luis Robert and like, okay, throw him a slider down away, no chance. And somehow he's, sometime when he's doing bad, when he's on a bad streak, he's chasing it every time. And when he's doing better, he holds off sometimes. No, this is anything really fast and anything that's maybe not straight. It's sort of like PP. So I guess we'll see. And I mean, okay, we're already challenging you, MoonAY. I'm sorry, but I guess you can't blame us for White Sox fans. We're gonna have to see it to believe it. And I want to believe it. We want to believe it. Hannah wants to believe it. All those Southside Sox writers who aren't here with us right now, they all want to believe it. And trust me, there was the excitement you were feeling when you heard this news, our staff was feeling, our readership was feeling. It got us to do a podcast, even though we were, already planning on debuting the Hannah Filippo and Brett Ballantini. So we got to come up with something catchier than that. Like H and B, that doesn't make any sense either. We have to figure something out
We'll
because,
workshop it.
yeah, I think it needs to be workshop because we could be chatting with each other in another few days. Uh, and that would be delightful. Okay. Well, downside, I guess we cover some of that. Benny Louise. All right, as we ramble on home here, Hannah, this team, okay. This team with his ballyhooed second half was a 70 win, 70, 72 win, 70 win team, I believe, just based on second half. And I know projection, whatever, blah, 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 whatever. That doesn't mean anything, but folks who want to say, well, this is going to be a playoff team in 2026 do need to check themselves and be reminded that the pace they were playing at wasn't just because they didn't have like a 13-game losing streak in the second half doesn't mean they were playing well, relatively well. Okay, relative to 100 lost seasons. Come on, wake up. Come on, don't do that. You're smarter fans than that. You're White Sox fans. You're not the crosstown people. Um, so this team needs, as we let off with, needs hitting help. This team needs has somehow taken a step back in the bullpen, particularly if either one of the couple of the better arms do perhaps move into a swingman or starting role in Grant Taylor or maybe even Mike Vassell. Uh, and the rotation, even if those moves were made, is like what? Maybe not the worst in baseball, not the best in baseball. So this team needs help. So that was a rambling question asking you, Hannah. With this move, we didn't expect, dipping way into a budget the White Sox did not have and do not have and never will have. Do you think the White Sox are done in their prep for 2026?
No, there will probably the guys they just signed will probably a few of them will be release probably sometime during spring training while they scrounge for waiver wire scraps.
Sure.
But that'll be, I think this is the only big signing.
Yeah.
But it's what they needed to do. They need to get more fans back in seats, and they needed a name that would be attractive to them. So they did that job as far as they're concerned. They can check that box off. But as far as how that will materialize into results, I don't think this signing necessarily gives them another automatic five, six more wins than before,
No,
honestly. Just seeing
no.
the regression in the pen and the concerns and questions in the rotation.
Yeah. I mean, overall plus, but the notion it's like, yeah, that's five more wins. It's not five more wins. It's cannibalizing at bats from hitters that are probably going to be similar to what MoonAY provides, the White Sox. And if he does go above and beyond that, okay, well then, yeah, maybe that's a couple wins. Awesome. I mean, from one player, you can't really expect too much better than that. Again, just because our expectation is replacement level, and it has been for the last few years, doesn't mean that's like what normal baseball fans should be expecting. We should be expecting like two war players. So, if MoonAY comes over and does that, it's like, okay, well, that's what we're paying you for. Um, yeah, it would seem like we will be back to table scrapping. And I don't want to suggest collusion for the reason why he's on the White Sox, but how in the world could this player have fallen to the White Sox? It doesn't. It'd be as weird as if, I don't know, the Pirates made this signing, and this is terrible to talk this way. But I mean, that's the first team that comes to mind. There are others, but uh, even like the Rockies would make more sense because he hit like 800 homers or whatever. And well, I mean, Colorado's not a real baseball team either, but they do it differently than the White Sox. Probably worse in some ways, probably better in other ways. But yeah, this is, I mean, this has got to be it because this is like this shouldn't have been. So I mean, how can we say is there going to be more when this shouldn't even have been? But we are happy it happened. Um, Two articles, and our entire top of the fold right now is just all Munetaka all the time, which is appropriate because we haven't had a moment like this for a while. And the fact that the White Sox, even the last time this happened, say Yaz or Hendricks, they were still, even then, they were a little bit more like, they were still a more real team then than they are now. So congratulations for crawling back to, well, almost crawling back to surface level White Sox. And we are excited. Let's not lose that in all of our cynicism and jokes at your expense. Hannah, thank you for your writing today and for the podcast here this evening. Please workshop some names with me because we can't really show up and just call it the Hannah and Brett show a third time. So you're gonna have to come up with at least a couple suggestions. I promise I'll do the same. Those of you at home listening, please suggest something for us as well, because who knows? 201 might be Hannah and Brett again. Until then, we'll be back really in, I promise, just a few days.